If you don't want to be called Nazis, stop doing.
You've been called an
anti-Semite
more than anyone else's table.
Yeah.
People will sit there and by me. I never called you an anti-Semite. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying
I'm a supporter of the Palestinians. I'm used to it.
Yeah, I hope your beeper doesn't go off. The thing is
Did
that
you just say I should die?
You should not.
No,
Did you just say I should?
No, I did not say that. I said, no, I did not say that.
Hold on.
Did your guest just say I should?
What did you
live
just say?
TV.
In today's video, Mehdi Hasan goes off on Ryan Girdusky in a heated debate on Zedyo. Mehdi Hasan absolutely refuses to let right-wing pundit Ryan Girdusky get away with spewing open racism on live TV. The moment Ryan crosses that line, taking a legitimate discussion about Palestinian rights and turning it into a veiled threat, the tone in the room shifts completely. So let's dive in and watch how Mehdi Hasan shuts down Ryan Girdusky on Zedyo.
I have interviewed, debated, sparred with controversial, opinionated, offensive people from across the world, sitting presidents and prime ministers, former directors of the CIA and Mossad, Trump officials, Biden officials, a Netanyahu spokesman, a Hamas spokesman, an IRA leader, Vivek Ramaswamy. But never in my 25 years as a journalist and 15 years of doing live TV have I been so stunned by what was said to me that I had to walk off set in the middle of a live show, as I did on Monday night on CNN in New York when this happened.
If you don't want to be called Nazis, stop doing.
You've been called an anti-Semite more than anyone else's table.
Yeah.
People will sit there and by me. I never called you an anti-Semite. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying
I'm a supporter of the Palestinians. I'm used to it.
Yeah, I hope your beeper doesn't go off. The thing is
Did
that
you just say I should die?
You should not.
No,
Did you just say I should be killed?
No, I did not say that. I said, no, I did not say that.
Hold on.
Did your guest just say I should be killed?
What did
on
you
live
just say?
TV?
Yes, that was far-right pundit Ryan Girdusky reacting to me saying I support Palestinians by basically inciting violence against me, suggesting I might be blown up in the way that Hezbollah members and Lebanese civilians were blown up via their beepers by Israel in what the former CIA chief Leon Panetta called a clear terrorist attack. That's what Girdusky casually suggested might happen to me. JD Vance associate Ryan Girdusky, Trump supporter Ryan Girdusky. Because in his head, when he hears Palestinian, he hears Hamas. When he sees a Muslim in front of him, he sees Hamas. Now, he and his right-wing friends are saying, I called all Republicans Nazis, which, of course, I didn't. Although apparently white supremacist Richard Spencer claims Girdusky used to write for him. What I did say was that if you don't want to be called a Nazi, don't say Nazi-like things, as was said at the Trump rally in New York on Sunday. Jews are cheap, black people like watermelons, Muslims are terrorists. And this guy's response to that was to imply I'm a terrorist who might be killed by Israel. A line that wasn't a joke, and that he almost certainly came pre-prepared with, thinking he could get away with it on live national television.
What's wild is that this didn't happen in some fringe Telegram chat or anonymous online space. It happened on CNN in front of millions. That tells you how emboldened certain figures have become. Ever since Trump mainstreamed open Islamophobia and enemy of the people rhetoric, these people feel untouchable. They can spew dangerous, racist nonsense and still get booked again as political analysts. And the bigger picture here, hate crimes against Muslims in the US have skyrocketed. According to FBI data, 2023 saw one of the highest spikes in anti-Muslim incidents in over a decade. Vandalism, harassment, and even deadly attacks. This isn't happening in a vacuum. It's fueled by exactly the kind of rhetoric Mehdi just experienced firsthand. It's also worth noting that Mehdi's larger point about the permission structure for racism is spot on. When politicians like JD Vance or Donald Trump normalize bigotry under the guise of free speech, they're not defending debate. They're giving cover to extremists who see Muslim, Black, and immigrant Americans as enemies. That's not politics. That's dehumanization with a podium. So yeah, this moment isn't just about one pundit crossing a line. It's about a culture where hate speech has become entertainment, and the people targeted by it are expected to just sit there and take it. Mehdi walking offset wasn't unprofessional, it was self-respect.
That's how bold these MAGA Republicans have become with their racism. That's the permission structure Trump and Vance have created. with the help of some in our media who've just happily platformed it. But as shocked and stunned as I was, there was no way I was going to let him say that to me unchallenged. And I'm glad to see CNN has since banned him from their airwaves, and I appreciate host Abby Phillip apologizing to the viewers and to me after I walked off set. I do want to do a shout out here, by the way, to my fellow panelist Ashley Allison, a former Biden-Harris 2020 campaign staffer who was with me on that panel.
What you just said
Kamala
right
Harris
here,
is a pimp.
apologize, but I will tell you, I don't accept that apology, and you didn't even say it
That's
to
fine.
me.
I didn't say it
that
to
was
you.
disgusting. But I can be offended when you don't even say it to me. I'm not Puerto Rican, but I was offended by what he said yesterday.
Where would we be as a country without black women holding the line against racism and bigotry and showing us what solidarity looks like? If Harris wins next week, it'll be partly because of her fellow black women holding that line. And if she loses, and to be clear, because of her refusal to budge even an inch on Gaza, Harris morally deserves to lose. We will get a Trump presidency, a white supremacist presidency, an anti-black, anti-Semitic, Islamophobic presidency, in which people like the bigot I had to deal with on CNN will be emboldened like never before. They won't just be running their mouths on TV panels against public figures like me. They'll be at your kid's school gate. They'll be at your grocery store. They'll be in your subway car, proudly and shamelessly saying this stuff to you too. They'll also be in charge of US foreign policy, egging on Israel to do more beeper attacks, even more acts of terror, egging on Trump and Vance to be more racist, more violent, both at home and abroad. A white liberal friend of mine, while sending me a very supportive text yesterday, asked me in good faith, is it emotionally taxing to face this bigotry, or is it par for the course at this point? To which my answer is, sadly, we Muslims don't have thicker skins than everyone else. Nor should we have to have thicker skins than everyone else.
This clip says a lot more about America right now than just one heated CNN moment. Mehdi Hasan isn't just reacting emotionally, he's exposing how normalized bigotry has become in mainstream spaces. When someone like Ryan Girdusky can make an Islamophobic joke about blowing up a Muslim journalist on live TV and think it's clever, that's not random outrage. That's the logical endpoint of years of right-wing radicalization being platformed as debate. Let's be real, this didn't start with one pundit. The rise of figures like Trump and JD Vance has completely shifted what's considered acceptable public discourse. Since 2016, anti-Muslim hate crimes in the US have more than doubled, according to FBI data. A recent report by the Council on American Islamic Relations, CAIR, found that 2023 had the highest number of anti-Muslim incidents in their tracking history, everything from harassment and threats to physical violence. And when politicians openly push Muslim ban policies or claim Muslims don't belong here, it trickles down. It gives permission for moments like this to happen on national TV. And Mehdi's point about black women holding the line is more than symbolic. Data backs it up. Black women remain the most consistent and civically active voting bloc against right-wing extremism in America. They've been central to defeating anti-democratic movements for years, from organizing during the civil rights era to mobilizing voters in 2020 and beyond. The fact that Ashley Allison immediately called out that disgusting comment on air shows exactly what solidarity and moral clarity look like. What's especially disturbing is how predictable this cycle is when hate speech gets normalized. Whether it's Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, or racism, it doesn't stay in the studio. It spills into streets, schools, and everyday spaces. And if Trump or Vance were to regain power, the kind of hate Mehdi faced wouldn't just be rhetorical, it would be institutional. So when Mehdi says Muslims shouldn't have to grow thicker skin, he's right. No journalist, no person should have to armor themselves just to exist in public discourse. This isn't about sensitivity, it's about safety. And the sooner networks stop giving bigots airtime under the guise of balance, the better chance we have at rebuilding some moral sanity in media.
We're human beings. So of course it's emotionally taxing. That's the whole point. That's why they do it. Racism is about not just dehumanizing you, but demoralizing you and depressing you. It's about beating you down and keeping you on the defensive, forcing you to fight an uphill battle, and apparently even threatening you with a terrorist attack. As the one and only Toni Morrison so wisely, so eloquently, so rightly said, the function, the very serious function of racism is distraction. It keeps you from doing your work. It keeps you explaining over and over again your reason for being. Well, to be clear, less than a week out from the most consequential election of our lifetimes, with genocide on the ballot, yes, but also fascism plus genocide on the ballot, I'm in no mood to explain myself to the racists and bullies. But I will continue to speak out. I will continue to do the work. And so should you.
What Mehdi is saying here hits deeper than just one ugly TV exchange. It's about how racism is weaponized to wear people down, to silence them through exhaustion and humiliation. And honestly, he's not wrong. Studies from the American Psychological Association have shown that exposure to racial discrimination leads to the same kinds of chronic stress responses seen in trauma victims. It's not just offensive words. It's a psychological attack designed to make you shrink back from public life. And we're seeing the consequences of that across the board. The Institute for Social Policy and Understanding found that Muslim Americans are the most likely faith group to experience religious discrimination in the US, with nearly 60% reporting some form of bias in the past year. And it's not just hate crimes, it's the daily drip of being othered, discredited, and blamed for the worst caricatures of your identity. That's what Mehdi's describing when he says racism is a distraction. It's meant to keep people defending their right to exist instead of focusing on the work that really matters: journalism, advocacy, truth-telling. And his warning about what comes next if this keeps spreading, that's not hyperbole either. History shows us what happens when bigotry becomes a political organizing tool, whether it was McCarthyism targeting leftists, post 9/11 Islamophobia shaping policy, or modern right-wing movements using fear of immigrants and Muslims to consolidate power. The pattern is the same: normalize hate speech, institutionalize it, and then weaponize it against dissent. So when Mehdi says he's not going to explain his humanity to racists anymore, that's not defiance. It's survival, because fighting this kind of hate isn't about having thicker skin. It's about refusing to let cruelty set the terms of the conversation. And honestly, that's something a lot of people, especially in media, still need to understand. Pause. Are you getting tired of getting half the story from biased news sources? One outlet says one thing and another says the complete opposite. How are you supposed to know what's actually true? That's where ground news comes in. It lets you compare how different media outlets, left, right, and center, are covering the same story, so you can see the full picture instead of just the echo chamber. And here's the best part. Click the link in the description and get 40% off the Vantage tier, which gives you even deeper insights into media bias and political trends. Stay informed, think for yourself, and check out ground news in the description down below.